Hello guys, and welcome to round 5 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship here on Project Cars at Imola. We've got a few more drivers than last week, so I'm excited to see the action that is going to be unfolding today. As per usual, I will go through the championship standings when I just get them off Twitter. Right, where are we? Now, of course, after some brilliant performances at Hockenheim last week, it is Nemesis Racing who is leading the championship on 90 points. Second is Mark, who is on 73. And also on 73, who won't be racing tonight, is Chazza, so that's a big shame. Murcielago is 4th on 68 points. Ragno is in 5th on 62 points. VSR Blizzard is on 46 points. Galactic Skull 2 is 7th on 24 points. Beamer Black in 8th position in the championship is on 19 points. JFD, who won't be racing because he's on holiday, he's just informed us, is 9th in the championship in 14th. Kadeshi is in 10th on 14. Kevin Jacobs, who sadly won't be able to take part in the league anymore, he is on 13. Anel Tanovic is in 12th on 12 points. And Dania Bin Lahar is 13th on 1 point. And we have just 2 more drivers than last week, but that will still do. If we're any more than 8 will any more than 6 will help, so that is a good thing indeed, as the championship leaders just knocked out the Project Cars 2 sign there. Nice job, Nemesis. But of course, for the first qualifying session and the first race, we have dry weather. There will be no rain, like there more than likely will be in the second qualifying and the second race. So I'm sure that these drivers will be well prepared for these dry conditions that they're experiencing on track at the moment. And from what we have seen so far this season, it's going to more than likely be a battle between Nemesis and Mark for pole. Of course, they had a thrilling battle in the second qualifying session last week at Hockenheim for pole, as the drivers are just about starting to get to the final, into the final sector to start their laps. And we will stay on board with Nemesis for his lap to see if he does indeed make any mistakes, as he's doing so at the moment, to be perfectly honest with you, as his lap is now underway. No, now it is. Right. Heading down in the first tricky chicane, of course, which was implemented after the horrible events of 1994. Looks like he might get held up with some traffic here in front of him, unless it is someone quick. It's Galactic Skull, so he might be fine, but being in this much traffic is not ideal. I know I'd certainly be dropping back to the back of this queue to try and get some clean air, especially. But he might be trying to go for a second lap, might the Italian be here, so remains to be seen exactly if they'll have enough time to do a second lap. It does look like it, because from what they were saying in the chat earlier, they're doing 152, so we're certainly more than halfway through the lap already, so we will be fine as the heavy braking zone into the chicane. Very nicely taken by the championship leader there. So heading down into the third sector now, and the always always tricky. Double apex left-hander here. Corner which I always sucked at, that's for sure. Well, it's not... Yeah. I don't even know if you call that double apex. Two corners, but whatever. Nemesis is heading towards the line as we're going to get our first couple of lap times. Oh, but they've been invalidated. Has everyone been naughty? No, not everyone's been naughty, and it is Nemesis on provisional pole by 2.5 seconds over Mark. Nemesis with a lovely 151.7, and that is Galactic Skull, I believe, who just went spinning off in front of Nemesis right there. But yes, Nemesis setting an absolute blistering lap time of 151.1, currently putting him on pole. He might not have to improve, and with Blizzard a further 2 seconds behind him, and Mark in the pit a further 2 seconds behind him, and then Ragnar a further 2.5 seconds behind. I don't think the Italian will be challenged here, but I have been wrong. I have been wrong, of course. As Anel just goes into 5 seconds behind. I thought that said 2, but no, it says 5.2. And I don't think Anel will be able to do another lap, so that's quite unfortunate for the Bosnian. Oh, and Nemesis is 7/10 up on his best lap. Oh my lord. If he puts something special together here, he could be in the sub-50s here. If he does that, gee whiz, he certainly deserves this pole position, as he's got cars going off left, right and centre in front of him on what is certainly a difficult track as he comes towards the line. And what lap time is he going to set? A 150.6. Didn't really improve too much in the last sector, but he has taken pole by 2.6 seconds. Wow. Ridiculous pace shown there by Nemesis Racing, and it's going to be interesting to see if anyone can do anything about that in the race. As you can see there, he's a little bit slower than Blizzard in the first sector, but then he's 1.2 seconds quicker in the second sector, and then 1.7 seconds quicker in the third. Maybe Mark didn't get his lap together quite as well as he hoped and then just pit out of frustration, or he might have got invalidated. I didn't quite see. But hopefully this race is going to be a bit closer than the qualifying that we just had. As of course we are waiting for the session to sync together, and here we have it as we are now waiting for the 5 red lights, and it is lights out and away we go. And it looks like VSR Blizzard has got a good start and is side by side the championship leader as I head down into the first chicane. They're nearly 3 wide here coming down in the first chicane, and it's Ragnar. Oh, and there looks to be a bit of contact behind. Oh, Mark and VSR Blizzard have been, there's been some contact. I'm not exactly sure what has happened, but there's been some major contact, and those two are now at the back of the grid, not to mention Murcielago as well. Very disappointing contact there at the first chicane for those drivers. It looks like Ragnar might have been involved in that as well, but it got away scot-free. As Kadeshi and, is that Anel Tanovic, I believe? Yes, it is. As Kadeshi goes down the inside of Anel Tanovic. Nice move there by Kadeshi. But at the moment, this is the closest battle that we really do have on track. But as I say that, the gap between Mark and Murcielago closes right up. So we'll go on board. So we'll go on to them. Heading down into the chicane. Nothing doing as Galactic Skull runs very wide, and that should allow VSR Blizzard to get past the Scot, and it looks like that will allow him to get past. Oh, there's a little bit of lag for me there, and VSR Blizzard is indeed up the inside and back up into P5. Certainly going to need to put on an impressive drive to get back up towards the podium after that first corner incident that involved a few cars. Oh, and Anel Tanovic has just absolutely death switched Kadeshi there, and then VSR Blizzard with nowhere to go hits the back of Kadeshi. Geez, Anel Tanovic broke very, very late into that corner, and that resulted in the contact that we had seen. As VSR Blizzard goes down the inside, has he ran a little bit too wide? No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like he will maintain that position over Kadeshi, as they are going side by side in fact, but Kadeshi won't be able to hold around the outside, and that will make sure that VSR Blizzard is in P4. As they look very close here, as VSR Blizzard has closed in a hell of a lot on Anel Tanovic, who of course had some contact with Kadeshi into the first chicane. Is Blizzard going to try and go around the outside? No, it looks like he's going to go for the switchback, and he pulls that off brilliantly. He absolutely mugs off Anel Tanovic, who now looks like he's going to get overtaken by Kadeshi. As we head down into the last double apex corner, it looks like Kadeshi is comfortably ahead of Anel Tanovic, and Anel Tanovic fairly just gives up the position after he hit Kadeshi off at the first corner. So fair play to Anel Tanovic there. But I was saying VSR Blizzard would need to have a good drive to get himself back onto the podium. Well, he's already done that, so very good drive definitely by VSR Blizzard. But it is a championship leader who leads by 1.5 seconds over his compatriot Ragno. Oh, and VSR Blizzard, just as I was singing his praises, has had a massive spin coming out of the first chicane. And this... Wait, who did spin? Well, it wasn't VSR Blizzard. I don't even know who spun. I thought I was on board with VSR Blizzard. Somebody spun anyway. Oh dear. How have I bottled that? I think it must have been Anel Tanovic, because now he's back in 7th, so I can't remember. I'm a clown. But I've just seen Nemesis has set a 150.4 as his last lap. That's quicker than his qualifying time. The Italian is absolutely flying here. Wow. Some very impressive times there. But we'll go on board with, we'll go trackside with Galactic Skull and Kadeshi, who are having a battle here for 4th place. And at the moment, looks like Mark has been brought back into the battle after the chaos that we had, where a car spun off. I don't know exactly who it was. Quite amateurish of me there, but it looks like there might have been a bit of contact there. I think there was a bit of contact there. It looked like Galactic Skull got hit in the back by Kadeshi going into that corner and got shoved off wide, so Kadeshi might be in trouble there for that. But it's certainly very close in the battle behind. Well, the battle for 4th really. A 5-car battle now. 5 cars separated by just under 2 seconds here, as it looks like Galactic Skull's got a very good run on Mark coming out of the first chicane. Don't think he'll try anything into the next corner. Bit too risky into that corner. And of course, there are plenty of overtaking opportunities here in these cars at Imola. Will he dive up the inside? No, he will not. Bit too far back there on Mark. Oh, as Kadeshi has got a penalty. So does VSR Blizzard and Ragno. So those three will look to pull away from each other if possible. And Murcielago, no, not quite. I thought he might have tried to go down the inside of Anel Tanovic there, but nothing was doing. But Anel Tanovic has run wide, and that should allow Murcielago to cleanly go in front of him. And indeed it does. Yes, and now Murcielago is up into P7. Anel Tanovic has been in the thick of all of the action thus far, that is for sure. Now, how can I look at the penalties? Right, so Ragnar has a 2-second penalty, Blizzard has a 1-second penalty, Kadeshi has a 3-second penalty. Right, so that is the penalties all covered, so we know what the situation is. So Kadeshi will have to pull some gap if he wants to maintain his P4, but it doesn't not look like he'll be able to do that, as Mark is bearing down on him now. Look at that, very close battle here in the midfield. Love to see close racing, as the two Italians and Blizzard are just in, where are they? They're miles ahead of any of the rest of them. That's probably a good way to say, as after these drivers have been squabbling so much, they're costing themselves a lot of time. As we have just 6.5 minutes remaining in this first race here at Imola, things have sort of died down a little bit. And just as I say that, Galactic Scale and Murcielago get a little bit close on the timing screens. It sort of looks like everyone in the midfield is going at a very similar pace, so not too much action to report on here at the moment, as Galactic Scale does go onto the grass in going into the braking zone, then runs wide, but Murcielago looks like he won't be able to capitalise on that slight mistake by the Scot. Oh, did Murcielago run a little bit wide there? I think he must have done, but Mark is now very, very close to Kadeshi, and with the slipstream, will he be able to get close enough into the first chicane, or will he look to set up some sort of switchback coming out of the first chicane? Oh, looks like he has broken a little bit late there, and I got a little bit nervous because I thought Kadeshi was going to get barreled off the track, and then Mark braking slightly too late has cost him a little amount of time. It's Murcielago and Galactic Skull going side by side, and Murcielago up the inside of Galactic Skull with a very nice move there up into P6, but Galactic Skull, will he look to do anything about it? No, not yet. But that is promoted Galactic Skull up into P6. A very nice move there by the Austrian, as everyone seemingly is going quicker in the race than they were in qualifying, because Blizzard just said 150.1. That would have had him on pole by half a second. Jeez, everyone is really getting to grips with the track here, as Murcielago and Galactic Skull looks like their battle is going to recommence here. Will Galactic Skull look for a move down the inside? No, he's doing a cheeky Fernando Alonso. Of course, Fernando Alonso very famous for doing that little, oh, I'm going to go down the inside. Oh, no, I'm not. I must say, VSR Blizzard is now starting to close the gap to Ragno and Nemesis at the front, but it looks like he's going to be too little too late. Oh, as Murcielago's gone off the track and then got a further push by Galactic Skull, as he had really nowhere to go there. He's gone a little bit wide once again, has Galactic Skull. Unfortunate there, he just couldn't really get out the way. As we'll go and look at Mark once again, who was close to Kadeshi, but will he be able to manage himself under the braking this time? And yes, he does a lot better, but it does look like Kadeshi has fantastic drive out of that chicane, and he's just able to propel himself away from Mark. So it doesn't really look like Kadeshi can Mark can really do anything about that. But now the gaps at the front are starting to get a little bit interesting. VSR Blizzard is within 3.5 seconds of the lead, and Ragno is just one and a bit seconds behind Nemesis Racing. But unfortunately, they both have penalties, so it's going to take a mistake from the Italian to move himself up in to perhaps first, as we'll now go on board with the race leader for the first time today, because all of the action has been happening behind him. There hasn't been much action at the front, sadly, which of course is what we want to see. We want to see some battling at the front. And it looks perhaps Nemesis is struggling with some tyre wear. He might also be going a little bit cautious out of the first chicane, which has been a little tricky point for many drivers tonight, as we've seen multiple drivers spin at that exact corner. But once again, Mark is getting close to Kadeshi, but he just can't get anything done by the looks of it, coming out of the chicane or even going into the chicane. Must be very frustrating for Mark here. And once again, just looks like Kadeshi gets much better drive out of that corner, although this is certainly the closest Mark has been, probably coming out of the corner, but he certainly won't be able to make a move. Oh, as we are very close now here at the front. So I see that it's like half a second, and they're like, oh, please don't have missed something. But we'll now stay looking at these two Italians for the remaining minute of this race. Will they be able to sneak another lap in after this? They might just be able to. Of course, Nemesis will know about Ragno's penalty, but I don't think he'll want to surrender the track position, as everyone has a penalty at the moment except for Mark. Quite extraordinary. It is very easy to cut and to track extend at this track with this handling model, that is for sure. But just as we've come on board, it doesn't look like Ragno is gaining anymore, but the one who is gaining on these two is VSR Blizzard. His pace has been incredible throughout this race, as Ragno runs wide, and it looks like that might just give VSR Blizzard, no, he's not gaining enough to be able to look, but Ragno certainly is gaining on Nemesis Racing here, heading down into the first chicane, as we will be able to have one more lap. This will be the last lap of the race. Oh, as Ragno has gone a bit wide there, and so is Nemesis going out of the corner, but VSR Blizzard is all over the back of Ragno. Will he look to go down the inside at any of the next two corners? No, he's going to stay back behind him just for the moment, perhaps looking for some sort of a switchback. Will he look to go around the outside here? Yes, he does, as Ragno defends the inside. Oh, will VSR Blizzard be able to manage to hold it on the side by side? And this is just giving Nemesis a little bit of breathing space now. I can't remember who has the worst penalty. Oh, and there's been some contact there. Ragno is, on my screen at least, has just pile-drived into the side of VSR Blizzard. It looked like VSR Blizzard had left him the space. He left him the space. and Ragnar had made contact with VSR Blizzard. I'd of course like to see what it looked like on board Ragnar, because of course, being, you know, 16,000 kilometers away, the lag does not help. So it'll be interesting to see the actual footage on board Ragnar, but everything has cooled down after that, and it will be the Italian and the championship leader to win again at Imola. He takes victory at round 1 with a dominant display. He's led every single moment of this race, and a brilliant drive by Nemesis Racing, but also it cannot be missed. What a brilliant drive by VSR Blizzard. Fantastic drive. He was at the back of the field after some lap 1 contact, and it has been a very good first race of round 5 here at Imola. And of course Ragnar had a 5-second penalty in the end, promoting him down into P3. Of course VSR Blizzard did finish ahead of him on track. So Nemesis wins, VSR Blizzard second, Ragnar in third. Kadeshi manages to hold on even with his penalty for P4. Murcielago in 5th, Mark in 6th, Galactic Skull in 7th, and Anel Tanovic, who was involved in a lot of battling, finishes in P8. That was certainly a very eventful race. But of course, you ask, what can make this more eventful? Oh, random weather. You are correct, as we indeed do have random weather for the next qualifying, and yeah, for the next qualifying and the race. I don't know why I froze. I know why, because I'm reading the chat. Kevin Jacobs says, how's it going, Nib? I'm doing great, mate. It's very sad to see that you can no longer take part in this league because of your new work schedule. Very sad about that. Gaming now, of course, Toby saying Forza Mark and Colin. Yep, he's supporting his fellow TBD Team Black Diamond drivers. It was Kadeshi who spun. Right, thank you. Yeah, I had a bit of a brain fart there. Callum Spencer saying, it's me, Mario. Sadly, Callum, I don't think you are Mario. Kevin Jacobs says, good win, Val. Yes, indeed, a very good win by Val. And King Macca says, hi everyone, and of course, hello to you indeed. Oh Jesus Christ, what is this we've got on our screen? I can't see! We've got heavy fog, and oh, this is going to be hell commentating. I can't see an absolute thing here. I might have to go on board with the drivers. I think that might help. But I will stay with the man who took the first pole, first pole for the first race. Right. Oh, I'm using the wrong controller to try and change the cameras. Oh, you clown. You absolute clown. Right, okay, that is certainly a lot better view than we are getting from the trackside cams, so we're going to have to use the on-board cameras for this qualifying session. Hopefully there's no heavy fog like this. You know, we are not in Scotland. It shouldn't be this foggy. We're in Italy. What is this? It's not like we're up in the mountains. As Danny Bin Lahar says in the chat, hi Nib, I'm not feeling good today, so I can't drive, but at least I can watch the live stream. And indeed, that is what I'm here for, to commentate these races so everyone can see what is going on, even if you can't quite make the race. And of course, you're not the only one feeling ill today, so I hope you're feeling a little bit better. in the coming days. Nemesis has just slightly outbroken himself there. This is absolute. This is awful. I hope I never have to commentate with heavy fog again. Oh, as Nemesis is... Who's been hitting him off there? Who's just hit him off there? I know in the previous runs, Anel Tanovic and Murcielago are running those things. I know it says Galactic Skull, unless Galactic Skull was one. No, it wasn't. It's not marked, not this. Who was it? Who was the culprit? Who hit Val? I think it might have been Anel Tanovic who hit Nemesis there. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure we might see if the championship leader puts up his highlights. But I can see that is Anel Tanovic. Yes, so it was indeed Anel Tanovic who hits Nemesis off the track there in the second to last corner. You don't want to be doing that, especially when you're trying to start your lap. It's not a very smart thing to do. I just decided to leave you guys to see what the championship leader was doing and the sound of these lovely Formula C cars. So what lap time is the championship leader going to set on his first attempt? It's going to be 1:52.4. I do think he can improve, as it is Murcielago who is currently on provisional pole by a tenth, and Versal Blizzard just 2/10 off of Nemesis, and Ragnar further 9/10 behind. Mark in fifth on a 54.7. Yes, just slow down and speak normally. Galactic Skull on a 57.6, and Anel Tanovic, who went in the gravel, of course. Setted. What's wrong with me this morning? Sets a 2:10, so hopefully he can improve and get involved in the battling in the midfield like he was the last race. And I do believe Nemesis can improve after he didn't have exactly the best run down into the first chicane on his first run, as he got absolutely pile-drived off of the circuit by Anel Tanovic, so he doesn't have to deal with that, but he does have to deal with some cars in front of him. As Danny Bilahar says in the chat, these conditions are awful, mate. Indeed they are. So much so that I'm having to use the onboard cameras, which is not ideal, as Murcielago won't improve on his time. But will anyone else be able to improve on their time? Will VSR Blizzard? Will Nemesis Racing? Will Ragno? They were very quick in the first race. Will anyone be able to improve as that? We're finally coming to the line. Nemesis does improve and goes on to pole by just a tenth over Murcielago. Very impressive lap there by the Italian to secure his second pole position of the night in the heavy fog conditions, which I certainly never ever want to see again. Gaming Now asks in the chat, who do you think will win the championship? And whoa! What is this? A dry race on random weather? Round of applause for Project Cars for their actual random weather this time. Right, so Toby just before that was asking, who do you think will win the championship? And I think from after 5 rounds of the championship now, it looks like Nemesis is indeed the favourite at the moment. He's the most consistent, and he does look like he has the pace advantage on most of these guys, and if he doesn't, he is more consistent. But Murcielago, what a start he has had there! He's just absolutely leapfrog ahead of Nemesis as they head down into the first chicane. Will there be more contact? And there was a little bit of contact there, but I think that might have just been lag as nobody was actually speed off the track. Oh, as Nemesis and Ragnar were getting very close as we're nearly 3 wide. Coming down this corner is VSR Blizzard and Nemesis were side by side for a slight moment there. The championship leader will be looking to get ahead of Murcielago as soon as he possibly can in these dry conditions. I do believe that Nemesis will be the favourite in these conditions, although we did see VSR Blizzard being extremely quick as he does look to go around the outside of Nemesis, but there is nothing doing on that potential move. But VSR Blizzard is all over the back of the championship leader, and is now Nemesis as usual defending very hard and very well. We're going to have some battle between these two. Oh, as we are full wide in the background, but I'll not go on board with that. Well, I will now. Well, no. Oh, there's massive contact, and Kadeshi's upside down, and Eltanovic is upside down. Oh dear, I didn't have a great view of exactly what happened there, but there was massive contact. But it is now Nemesis who is applying all of that pressure to Murcielago as the top 3 are just separated by half a second. We are having a ridiculous first lap here. And I now have a very sore throat after just 1 lap, after what happened at the last chicane. Oh, and everyone's getting very close to each other here. We might be 3 wide. We're just going to be 2 wide with Nemesis looking to go around the outside of Murcielago. And he has made the move stick. Is VSR Blizzard. Oh, there's contact between VSR Blizzard and Murcielago. And Murcielago has been flipped upside down, and VSR Blizzard, very fair of him, waits up. But now this is just going to put them back into the battle. Oh, the Galactic Skull, he might take advantage of this. He does indeed, and he's moved up into P3. P2, sorry. Very opportunistic there by Galactic Skull too, as VSR Blizzard looks like he might go down the inside there of the Scott, and indeed he does, as VSR Blizzard will certainly be very frustrated after the contact he made with Murcielago. It did look like it was his fault. Of course, we will see if he will be penalised for that, but he definitely shouldn't, in my opinion, after he did let Murcielago back through. But it is now Nemesis with a 5-second lead over. Oh, and Galactic Skull's gone wide there, and that should allow Murcielago to move past. Oh, it looks like he's turned it on. Who's that upside down? Oh, it's still Adel Tanovic. Adel, hold the bloody button, man. Hold the button. Oh, that's going to be chaos. Oh, Adel, please do something. Oh, when Ragnar has absolutely steamrolled Galactic Skull into oblivion, and he looks like he is not going to wait. That is horrific there by the Italian. It didn't even look like he was going to make the corner, but it looks like he might be slowing down now to wait for Galactic Skull, and he definitely should be doing so. Jesus. Oh no, he's not waiting, and he's just gone clean around the outside of Mark. Fair play. Oh, and who's that? Looks like Murcielago might have had a bit of a moment there, as Murcielago... No, Ragno, sorry. Oh, this is chaos. At least Anel has left the session, so his car will no longer be there, and I won't have to scream that someone's upside down. Oh, there's more contact further back between Kadeshi and Mark. There's certainly been a lot of contact so far in this race, as the cars are sort of spreading themselves out, so hopefully everything calms down and I can catch a breather here. But it must be said, VSR Blizzard is indeed closing the gap on Nemesis Racing. It was 5 seconds after the contact that he had with Murcielago just coming out of the first chicane. But it is now down to 3.5 as Ragno is now closing in on Murcielago. Of course, Ragno has been involved in the thick of the action. He was involved in when Anel Tanovic's car was flipped upside down. I don't know who was quite at fault. We didn't see, really, because the cameras were out of focus. And then, of course, he punted Galactic Skull to Narnia, coming down into the last couple of corners. But it does look VSR Blizzard with a 49.2. What planet is he driving on? That's absurd pace by the Brit. And I'm sure he will be on the back of Nemesis Racing very, very shortly. Of course, we will go to that when that happens. But it looks like everyone is starting to pick up some penalties now, as Murcielago and Ragno are getting ever closer. And Murcielago maintains it for the time being, but Ragno gets a good run coming out of this corner. Now Ragno, please, no punting anyone off again. I don't want to be having to call that, as he does slow down. Well, Murcielago does not slow down, that is for sure. As Ragno manages to keep it on the track and moves himself up into P3. Well composed was the Italian there, as has now pushed Murcielago back into the clutches of Kadeshi and the midfield in this battle for third place, as Murcielago just... Oh, and Kadeshi is just going completely off the track there, completely missed his braking point, and he seemingly can't get out the gravel. I mean, I haven't raced on this game for quite some time, so I don't know what it's like to try and get out the gravel, but that was not a successful attempt by Kadeshi, and now that has put him even behind Galactic Skull into P7. As Murcielago and Mark here are the closest two on track to each other, but so I'm sure we're going to have some chaos happening shortly, because it seems any time anyone gets close to each other, just all hell breaks loose. So I hope for these two drivers that is not the case. We have some clean racing where no one is getting hit off, but certainly does make it exciting for me in the commentary box. But as being a driver myself, of course, in the Formula 1 Championship, don't want to see that happening, as they both go extremely wide coming out of the chicane. The very difficult chicane to keep on track. You don't want to cut it and you don't want to extend it. So you kind of have to preference, you don't cut the chicane, but it looks like Nemesis has stemmed the amount that VSR Blizzard has been gaining on him. So good effort there by the Italian. So it looks like for all money that VSR Blizzard was indeed going to catch Nemesis. It just looks like a matter of time, but that does not look like the case now, as we have just over 5 minutes remaining in this session. As Murcielago and Mark come down into the first chicane, and no, I thought Murcielago might have been losing the car then, but managed to hold on to it. Oh, and we got some battle here between Galactic Skull and Kadeshi, who have both had some very unfortunate, well, no, Kadeshi's own mistake forced him to go into the back, but of course as Galactic Skull being hit off by Ragno at the second to last corner, which caused him to be in this position. Galactic Skull will maintain that position for the time being, but oh, was there a bit of contact there? And indeed, I think there might have been a bit of contact there just as I switched cameras. Fantastic. Looks like Kadeshi might have just hit Galactic Skull and then spun himself, so Project Cars physics for you, but I'm sure there's some contact there. I don't think Galactic Skull would have ended up in the gravel by himself, so I'm sure the stewards might see that, or if anyone uploads some highlights, we will see that for sure. As it looks like Murcielago is sort of slowly just increasing that gap to Mark. Of course, Ragno is just up the road, as you can see in the picture right there. Just ever so quickly, I will check the timings to see who has what penalties. Oh, so Ragno is not going to get 30. He's got a 34-second penalty, so he'll more than likely end up last. Nemesis has a 2-second penalty. VSR Blizzard has a 1-second penalty, and that is really all that matters in terms of this. So it doesn't look like it doesn't really matter for Ragno here. I wonder how he picked up that penalty. It might have been for the for some contact that he had, or some corner cutting penalty. I'm not entirely sure, because the penalty system can be quite inconsistent, as Mark is getting very close here to Murcielago. But of course, into that corner, unless you're side by side before the corner, you can't really dive it up the inside. It's a very tough overtaking place there, that's for sure. As Murcielago had a little bit of a squirm coming out of that, and that might allow Mark to be able to make a move down the inside. Oh, it looks like Murcielago defended it, and now Ragno has all of a sudden just fallen off the pace. And it looks like Murcielago might be having a look down the inside of Ragno, and oh, and there's been more contact and Murcielago's gone off the track. Fantastic. Can we just keep it on the track and be clean, please? But now that looks like this will allow Mark to go up the inside of Ragno, and very comfortable move there for Mark. But very unfortunate for Murcielago, outbraked himself massively there, went into the gravel like he did earlier on, I believe. Yes, indeed. Oh, when it... Jesus! Ragno, very aggressive in the chicane there. I thought he was going to somehow collect the back of Mark then. As, will we be able to have one more lap? I don't know. This might be the last lap of the race. Certainly been another very enthralling race here at Imola. Very big shock that it hasn't been wet. But of course, it doesn't really matter where Ragno finishes. He's going to finish last unless Kadeshi blows up or something. Will we have one more lap? We probably will here. As once again, I think this is the first time we've gone on board with Nemesis since he moved up into first, because all the action has been behind him, as we're getting very close between Mark and Ragno once more. Please, no contact into this corner. Oh, and what do we have? More contact into that corner as Ragno has hit the back of Mark. For Christ's sake, man, find your breaking point. Oh, this is very frustrating. But now Murcielago has been gifted that position back up into P3 after that contact between Ragno and Mark. And that will mean Mark, unless there's more contact, which who knows at this stage, we've seen so much contact, that Mark will more than likely get P4 behind Murcielago. Oh, it looks like Ragno is actually letting Mark through there. Nice gesture by Ragno there, as he knows he is well and truly not going to get third or fourth, as he does indeed have a 34-second penalty, as VSR Blizzard has massively caught up to Nemesis here on the final lap of this race. Who knows, the Italian might have made a mistake, the nerves might be getting to him, or it might be his tyre wear, who knows. But it looks like he should be able to hold on here. As Ragno has dropped back significantly, it looks like he might even be gifting back that position to Galactic Skull, who of course he did make contact with at this corner, which we are seeing right now. But it looks like Nemesis, if he keeps it on the track, oh, he's very cautious, and VSR Blizzard is not so, but it looks like he had a very huge tank slapper. But once again, it is Nemesis Racing who will be victorious in this race. He wins both races here at Imola. A fantastic display by the Italian once more, and a brilliant drive again by VSR Blizzard, who was 5 seconds behind the Italian at the start of the race to get P2 once again. Those two have been in a class of their own today, that is for sure, with Murcielago finishing third after many bouts of contact with Ragno. Ridiculous how much contact there was. Mark finishes in P4, Galactic Skull in P5. Ragno is trundling over the line for P6. Yep, not sure quite what he was doing there. And Kadeshi is coming home as well to wrap up P7. Now, will he be classified? I'm not entirely sure on that, actually. He gets a DNF, but he did complete 8 laps, so he will be he will score points, as we have another dominant display by Nemesis, taking home 50 out of 50 points from this race, and it looks like he is well and truly in the box seat to win this championship. Of course, there is a long way to go in this championship, but he has certainly got a very healthy lead at this start of the season. VSR Blizzard with some brilliant drives as well to finish second, Murcielago in third, Mark in fourth, Galactic Skull in fifth after he had some contact with Ragno, and Kadeshi in seventh. Of course, Ragno was sixth, but he's now left the session. Of course, earlier Gaming Now was asking who's going to win the championship. Kevin Jacobs thinks Val will, but VSR Blizzard and Mark will give him a fight. Everyone in the chat thinking, what is Ragno doing? Indeed, I don't really know what he was thinking, but there has been another chaotic race here today at Imola. A brilliant display by Nemesis, and that has extended his championship lead. But I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you this time next week for round 6 of the Project Cars 2 Formula C Championship. Take care, guys.